Hey guys, welcome to the first Blossom House podcast. Today we're going to be discussing stress, high school, university, and how we deal with all of that. My name is Shruti.
I'm Shreya.
And I'm Emily.
And we're going to basically be your hosts for this podcast. So let's start off with how do you guys deal with different stressful things in your lives?
I want to say I don't deal with stressful things in my life, but that is a bad response. So let me rephrase this question into how would I ideally deal with stress? So, in an ideal situation, I would take some time to reflect on whatever is stressing me out. So that would be like labeling, okay, this thing is stressing me out, like maybe labeling it in a journal and then thinking about, why on earth does this stress me out? And then trying to get to the underlying factor of stress. But I don't actually do it. So I don't know what stresses me out. I just know I have a lot of stress. Am I the only one who feels this way?
And no, you're totally right. Except half the time it's like, I know that this thing, usually an assignment or something that I have to do, like this thing is clearly stressing me out. And I'm like, how do I solve that stress? Well, maybe I should do it. But then I decide that I am not going to do it. So I end up even more stressed out until like the night before when I finally do it. And I hand it in and I'm like, whatever, I'm done with it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is how I deal with my stress. I put it off until I cannot put it off anymore.
Yeah, me too. When I get stressful things, I tend to avoid it. So I will do literally everything in my power to do anything else but that stressful thing, which is not a very good way to deal with life in general. But yeah, usually I'd say in terms of stress, the way to deal with it is if it's like short term, like things that have deadlines like assignments or something like that, um, the best way might be to just like it depends on what it is, but and sometimes you need to take breaks away from it and do something that um, is relaxing so that you can get focused and then get back to it. But other times, I think it's important that that stress actually motivates you to do the things that you're supposed to do. Um, or else you're really never going to do it. That's kind of why our system was designed for stress in the first place.
I want to go back to your point about the avoidance thing when it comes to stress and how it leads to more procrastination. It's kind of funny because not only does like your avoidance problem just leads to more stress because you just keep avoiding it and you know you have to do it. But that's really with stuff that has deadlines for like things that don't have deadlines. Like I don't know about you guys, but I really do procrastinate on talking to members of my family because I'm not really close to them, like not direct family, but like people in Bangladesh, for an example. That's where my family is from. Like, I don't really know what to say because I haven't seen them in like years, and I'm like, who are you? So it just becomes a problem because there's no deadline to it, so there's nothing really forcing me to do it except maybe my parents, and I just keep putting it off, and that just creates more stress.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there's
going back to your point about where like talking to people stresses you out, yeah, I would definitely say that it's like the same thing for me. Today, I have like a really funny story. I was going grad dress shopping, right? So I walked into the store. Somebody asked, "Can I help you?" And I just stood there for like a solid 5 minutes because I
oh
didn't know what to
no.
say. It was so funny. I was standing there and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Just give me a minute for my brain to work because talking to people is scary." But like, yeah, it's fine. I ended up having a normal human interaction with them and it turned out fine. But yeah, talking to people really stresses me out for some reason. And I guess the way I deal with it is just by like forcing myself to talk to them, even though it doesn't end up well, like today. But yeah, a lot of times you just have to like put yourself out there and deal with whatever's stressing you out. Just like how I deal with me not liking to talk to people.
Mm-hmm. I think in terms of talking to people, for me, it's like um, it helps if I can plan something out beforehand. Like you guys have all done speech or debate before, right? And so that the way of like of that public speaking and things like that is easier because you get to plan out what you're saying beforehand. But if it's like spontaneous conversation, my brain just like it just stops and I can't think of anything to say. a funny story is I had an old friend who just called me up out of the blue, um, and she just started a conversation, and I was just so awkward, and it was out of nowhere that I physically could not respond. So she was talking on the phone and asked me a question, and my mouth could not form words, and my dumb monkey brain decided to end the call.
Oh god.
She was
Oh no.
literally saying hello, hello, and I hung up on her. And I feel so bad, but I'm not good with people.
Oh
Don't do
god.
that. That was a very bad way to deal with that.
Communicate better. Yeah, no, it's like so different because sometimes when you're not scripting out all your social interactions with other people, this sounds so bad. I feel like I've never talked to anybody in my life, but I swear I have. I swear I talk to people. But like when you're not scripting it out, it is so different. Like, because they'll just ask a question and you're like completely caught off guard and you're like, no, I don't have a brain. I can't talk.
Exactly. Like you have so many thoughts, and then somebody like asks you a question. You're like, what? What are you saying? Excuse me, can you say that again? Like this reminds me of this one time I went to a math competition, and they're like, "What is your name?" And for some
Ew.
reason, I heard, "What is your grade?" So I just kept saying grade 7, and they repeatedly were asking me for my name. And then finally, my dad was like, "Her name is Shreya. We're really sorry about this." Like, I don't know. It just be like that sometimes.
Uh, it's like sometimes when I'm in conversations with family in India and like I'm on the phone with them, because I don't know how to carry on the conversation, they'll ask me a question, I'll give them the answer, and then it's just silence.
Yeah.
Because a conversation works when someone asks a question and then the other person asks a question. But like, I don't know what to say, and I also don't know how to say it because there's a language barrier there, right? Too. So I'm hesitant to say something when I don't know exactly how to say it. So then there's just like silence on the call. And then they'll be like, "So did you eat today?" I'll be like,
Yeah,
"Yeah."
I ate.
Yep.
I ate food. It
Do you
was
have
great.
tutors yet? Oh my god. I get asked that question so much, but whenever I'm like on the phone with my grandma and my uncle's like all the way in China. My grandma is in New Jersey, which is not China, but like yeah, she moved there, right? But she still speaks mainly Chinese. She doesn't speak much English. So we talk in Chinese, except if you combined my Chinese and English skills, I would be only like 1.5 lingual because I only know half
Same.
the vocab words in Chinese. So talking to them is always a very fun time because I literally like insert English words and hope that they can figure out what I'm saying based on the context clues, except they don't figure out what I'm saying based on the context clues. It's just like a really important word I'm missing, and they're just like, I don't know what you're saying. So it's very fun. It's like a telephone game, except worse, and only between two people.
It's not just you. Oh my god, me too. And I just hope they understand what I'm saying. Because the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I understand them, but I can't verbalize what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say. Like, I'll forget in the moment. I'll be like so stressed out. I'm like, huh? And then I'm trying to communicate like with my hands, and they're like, I
So
have
many
no
hand
idea.
gestures.
It's hard.
It's because my brain is spending more power trying to conjugate my word properly than it
Conjugate.
is on what like how to carry on the next conversation topic. So like I cannot focus on more
Exactly.
than one thing.
Oh god. It's like we're children. I mean, technically we still are.
We
We
are
are
children.
children.
Yeah, little children who can only focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, like little kindergartners just learning the language, and you have to like talk to them really, really slowly for
No,
you
that's
to get like a
literally me.
response back.
Yeah. Otherwise, I won't understand.
Yeah.
How about we switch this to stress in university, academic life?
Oh,
Let's open a whole new other can of worms. How do we feel about university? Since that's up and coming.
stressed, I guess. Like I feel pretty stressed.
About what exactly?
Um,
Kind of both.
I guess everything. Like the transition from high school to university, since I want to go out of town for uni, right? It would be like a completely new environment. I wouldn't be living with my parents anymore. I would have to like pay for my own food and housing and stuff, and that's just really different. And I guess um, being placed in like such a different environment does cause a lot of stress. Or like even thinking about it, since I'm not in university yet.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat where I'm not going to be staying in Alberta for university either. So it's like there's like a lot of stress in terms of because I don't even know exactly where I'm going to be in the next year, right? And so I have to decide um, where I want to be living, whether I want to be living in dorms or with my family, or whether I want to, um, like, which sort of degree I want to take because I applied to different degrees and now I have to choose. And so there's a lot of decisions, and you don't know which one's the right one, and it's just hard.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like even the degree part, right? In grade 12, you basically have to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And that's like a lot of pressure, especially when you're like in the process of completing an IB diploma and trying to like maintain your grades so you can actually do what you want to do for the rest of your life. And like,
Exactly.
it's just so stressful. Honestly, would not recommend doing it again.
Oh god.
And I know, like, a lot of times when career people come in to the school, sorry, do you guys hear the cooker in my background?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
okay, keep going.
With, anyways,
Keep going.
when career people come to schools, a lot of them are always saying, "Oh, it doesn't. It's not like you're deciding what you're gonna do the rest of your life because you can take something and then you can switch direction at any point in your life." But like in my mind, that's something that's so hard to do. Like, in what situation could you be like in a degree and then decide that this isn't what you want to do and then completely switch tracks? Like, that seems like so much. And when you add in like expectations that people have on you, like family and stuff, and you have to put in money and all these different things, like that's such a hard thing to do. And you can say that um, nothing is finalized, but also like it's so hard to switch last minute.
Yeah, like switching is definitely not preferable at all. Like it's just so much work and you feel like everything you've done before you switch has kind of been like for nothing. And yeah, that's just not preferable. I would rather like choose right now rather than having to like switch again. But I don't know if I'm choosing right now. That's like the entire issue of it. It's like nobody really knows what's right until the time passes, right? So like yeah.
Yeah, my problem for
Yeah, what
me,
about you?
I feel like I used to be really passionate about a lot of things when I was a bit younger. A bit younger. I'm still kind of
A
young, I
bit
guess.
younger.
But like now I just I don't really know what exactly I like. Like honestly, all my classes, I don't feel that enthralled with any of them, except maybe the humanities, which I'm not going into for a variety of reasons. Um, first of all, parents' pressure, and then second, like there's like this idea that in the humanities, like you don't have as many job options, so that's also playing a factor in it. So I'm not really happy with what exactly I want to do in university, but I'm hoping that it's going to play out right. Like maybe I'll go into the class and I'll end up really liking it. Another thing that's stressing me out is just there's so much things you have to do in university. Like you have to research, you gotta work, volunteer, all of this other stuff, and keep up with your academic course load. And a lot of this requires you to like really put yourself out there. And I'm not sure like when the time comes, will I be able to perform right? Like, what if I get nervous? Like, what if I miss some opportunity? I mess something up. Like, I keep on envisioning me doing something wrong, and that just stresses me out like a lot.
Mhm. It's like for me, a lot of times, when I look back on my high school life, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that I missed out on, either partly because of COVID, but also partly because like I made a decision not to do something, and then like a year later, I think, oh, I wish I had done that, but I can't change that now. And so then when you're looking off into university life, you're thinking um, that you don't want to waste those years and you want to make the most of it. But you also, there's a balance between doing um, a lot of things and making the most of your life and overworking yourself and stretching yourself out too thin. And so you have to worry about that too.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. This year in particular, I feel like I have been stretched a bit thin, as like probably everyone has been. Will I be in your grade 12 years? Like, not fun at all. Oh my gosh. But yeah, on top of that, I was playing volleyball for the first few months of the year, and now I'm playing handball. And like, sports seasons are actually taking up a lot of my time because I have practice pretty much every day of the week, practice and games every day of the week except for Friday. And those are like, what, 2.5 hours? And then I get home, I'm tired, I have to do homework, and like, yeah, it just takes up a lot of my time and my effort. But like at the same time, I love playing handball and I love playing volleyball. And I would definitely not trade it for like anything, even if I'm tired. But at the same time, I am very tired. So yeah. I guess that's been a source of stress, just how stressed thin we all are, and how that makes us really tired too. So, to what extent is like stress kind of just based on how tired we are? And if we just got more rest, do you think we'd be less stressed?
I mean, sports during school is so hard, and I'm not sure if like adults or even like universities um, even completely understand that. Like when you're like on an application and you're putting down, oh, I did like basketball during school, and that's like your one extracurricular. I don't think people understand that that has been taking up so much of your time that like when you get home, you're so tired because you've just basically been running around for 2 hours. And then now you have to do a bunch of homework. But then sometimes you also have other extracurriculars that you have to worry about. And then it's like so much.
Yeah, that was part of the reason I stopped doing debate this year because, first of all, I'm tired. I don't want to do debate. Like, I'm tired of debate, you know? I don't like interacting with people, so making me like get up on a podium or on Zoom and talk for like what 8 minutes straight about something I don't care about, like that's just too much. I'd rather not do that. It's my last year of high school, and I'd like to think that I'm having some fun. But yeah, in grade 10, I was balancing school and sports and debate and like a lot of other extracurriculars I can't even remember. And honestly, I just remember showing up to debate tournaments and being like, I want to go home. This is
Mm-hmm.
a Saturday morning. This is my Saturday morning. I don't want to be here. I could be sleeping right now. So after grade 11, we had Zoom date. That was still pretty bad, even though I was at home and I slept during the breaks between the rounds. But in grade 12, we're still on Zoom. But I just decided that it was too much. I couldn't take it. I'm dropping debate. So yeah, I think I've been less stressed because of that, which is good, right?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
for sure. Sometimes you need to make the choice like what is more important, your health and your well-being, and this other thing that maybe you don't value as much. Sometimes you have to drop an extracurricular, and that's okay. Hmm. Anything else on academics and stress? I had something and I completely forgot about it. Can't remember.
Um,
It'll turn up later.
Yes, it will.
okay, well, if we're going to talk about academics, we could ask in terms of your marks, how much does it affect you? How much would you say that, like, the number that you get back on your assignments affects you as a person?
Well, when I was in grade 11, I would say it affected me a lot because it would be used for my university applications. But now I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care as much as I probably should, which is kind of a
Yeah,
bad
I don't
thing.
care at all.
Exactly, because I'll have like a test the next day and I'll be on my phone. I'm just not studying. It's just I don't care. But I'll stress about it anyway, but I'll go on my phone. Does that make sense? Like
It does
Yeah.
make sense. It's like you're stressed, but you're
I
not
don't
stressed enough to actually do anything about it. So you're like, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll deal with it when it comes.
Like
I'll take like a 30 on my
I know. I'll look at bio and I'll be like, this is too hard, and I'll go on my phone and I just won't get to it.
It's like that cycle where like you have something that you need to be doing, but then you go on your phone or something, but the whole time that you're on your phone, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that you're supposed to be doing this thing. And then so you can't even enjoy scrolling
So
on your
you go
phone, but
back.
that's not enough to
Yeah.
make you stop.
Exactly.
And
I actually go back and then I go back on my phone and then I go back to
yeah,
studying. Like it's so I'm flip flopping between choices. I have no idea. Oh God.
No, it's like you constantly switch back and forth between the two because you're not actually like focused enough to actually put in time to study whatever you're supposed to be studying. But at the same time, you feel bad about going on your phone, so you have to go back, but like you're still not focused enough, so it just keeps on going.
A vicious cycle. There you go.
Horrible.
It's kind of like your point about being tired. You were saying how like stress makes you like to what extent does stress make you tired? Well,
Yeah.
stress makes you tired, but being tired makes you more stressed. It's like
mm-hmm.
this goes on.
Mhm.
Here we are.
I was gonna say something, and then I
Me too.
was going to.
Let's see.
This is funny. You just have like no thoughts in your brain.
Yep. Procrastination. There we go. That's really linked to stress. Instant gratification. Or looking at your future long term. I always choose instant gratification because it just, no. It's so much better
Yeah.
than having to stress for the long term.
I don't know why my brain is like, if you consistently choose instant gratification, you are just always happy and you're always pushing off the stress. But that does
That
not
doesn't-
logically make sense.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh, me too. I'm like really nearsighted in the ways that like I don't want to look at what's far in front of me. I'll just look at like the very near future and decide what I'm gonna do. So if I have a test tomorrow and I have like a phone game to play right now, I'm going to play that phone game because it's what's making me happy sooner than the test. So yeah, it's a horrible way to go about things, but whatever.
I feel like.
Oh,
Sorry, were you gonna
keep
say
going.
something?
No. Keep going. I'll mention after.
In terms of like, so we were talking about how we're just not interested enough in the things that we're doing to actually put effort into like our courses, and that's just like a hope for university is that because it's a more specialized degree that we're taking, that we will enjoy the things that we're learning about enough to actually like try to learn about it. um because like it's hard to continuously learn just because we're trying to get a good enough mark to get somewhere else, you know? Um, and I would hope that when you actually enjoy what you are learning, it's easier for you to learn.
Yes, I 100% agree. Fingers crossed we enjoy university and what we're doing. I think to Emily's last point about like instant gratification, always choosing it. For me, it's like this is gonna sound really weird, but I have like voices in my head. One of them is like
Oh my
like
god.
instant gratification. The other one is just stressing about long term future, and it just that is what stresses me out because I'll be thinking about the future and I'm like, it'll be like so long in the future too. Like, will I be happy with my career? Do I even want to get married? Like these insane questions. Like, do I want to live a normal life or do I want to travel the world? Like all of these
So you just
things.
like
Travel the
eating
world.
cereal in the
Always
morning,
travel
you
the
just
world.
stops.
Yeah, and then my dad will be like, judging my age, I never thought about this. This is why your generation is so stressed. I was like, I can't argue with that. You're right. Like this constant
Wait,
battle. It's terrible.
so you have two voices in your head. One
Yes.
is telling you to play phone games, and the
Yes.
other one is giving you an existential crisis like every
Yes.
time
You are
listen to
correct. I blame TOK.
it.
Not even. This is terrible. Yeah.
TOK was really a funny course. Like,
It
you
was.
had, what, 16, 17, 18-year-olds thinking about, like, What is knowledge? What is life?
I was
How
like,
do
I
you
don't know.
live?
I've lived like 16 years. Leave me alone. This is so unfair. I don't
To
remember
what
half my
extent
life.
is knowledge?
Oh, God.
Oh man. I will never get tired of like making fun of TOK because it's so it was such a funny course.
It really was. Oh, God.
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, do you remember that one video we watched in TOK where it was like art or cultural artifacts or something, and there was just like this one American talking about the Grand Canyon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a funny
I'm pretty
video.
sure everyone else was talking about literal art, and they were like, "The Grand Canyon is so beautiful." Great,
Great.
America. Great.
Go America. I should turn my light on. It is getting dark. Okay, just a second.
For sure. Yay. We can
Back.
see your background now. Very cool. Looks very aesthetic. Mine is fake.
Okay, let's cycle back to that idea of procrastination.
Oh, no.
So are there any ways or like things that you do to stop yourself from procrastinating?
One time when I was going to write an English essay, I put it off, right? And then I decided that I wasn't going to put it off anymore. So I basically said to myself, "You are not sleeping this entire night until you finish this essay." And it worked. Did I get much sleep? No, but I got my essay in. So that's like an extreme approach.
I feel like for me, um, I think it was grade 11 where I was really struggling with procrastination. I still am, but that was when I was actually trying to do something about it. So I had this whiteboard in my room, and so I basically wrote down every single thing that I had to do. And then when I did it, I could erase it off the board, and it's like a hit of like dopamine, and you feel rewarded because you get to erase something off of the board. Um, but like I don't know why it just stopped working. Like before, when I looked up at the board and I saw these things that to do, I would like pick one and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But at a certain point, whenever I looked at the board, I just didn't feel like I needed to do any of them, and then it just stopped working.
You
Oh,
became
I think I have a
immune.
trick for this. Like,
Oh?
you just have to mix your harder tasks with like really easy tasks. Like, I don't know, click submit on that math quiz that you just wrote or something, right? So if you do the easier tasks first, eventually you still feel that sense of accomplishment, and hopefully that makes you do the harder tasks, like write an essay. But yeah, that's what I did for my Google checklist. I would like have some hard tasks, like write essays, study for math or whatever. But I would also put really easy tasks in, like um, feed your neighbor's fish. They don't even have a fish. They killed mine. Anyway,
Oh, God.
that's a
Okay.
story for later. Like water the plants or something. So I would do the easy tasks first, look at the hard tasks, think that wasn't that bad because I did the easy tasks first, right? And then I would do the hard tasks because I would think that it wasn't that hard because I would like trick myself into doing it. It worked for a bit. Now I just think that if I don't write any tasks on my to-do list, I never have to do them.
Oh,
That's
well.
not what you should think.
Oh, God.
But yeah, you should try that.
Yeah.
I have no suggestions. I think, no, like, I really want to contribute to this, but I don't do anything. I just, like, whatever. Okay, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the year, me and Shruti, what we were trying to do is like if we would try to encourage the other person to do something, so we would be like, "I'm so disappointed in you," but it wouldn't work because we just start laughing. At least I would start laughing. It wouldn't work on me.
It wouldn't work on me because when Shreya texted me, she
Oh,
wouldn't actually seem disappointed. She'd be like calling me a loser, and I'd be like, "Ha ha, that's so funny," and then I'd just go back to scrolling on Instagram. I'm like, okay.
okay, sorry. So yeah, maybe not the best strategy. So I have an example of what not to do. There you go.
Don't
It
call
was
them a
built
loser.
off of the assumption that if someone was angry enough or disappointed in you enough, it could push you to do something, but it doesn't work when you know that
You don't care.
they're faking
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really have to care at some point. How do
When
you
I was
make
writing my
yourself?
social IA, I
Oh.
pretended that I don't think we're allowed to disclose names here. So I would pretend that a social teacher was standing behind me and watching what I do on my computer screen, right?
Oh,
And he
wow.
seems like the type of guy to like yell at you if you were on like
I
I
feel
don't
like, yeah,
know,
you would.
yeah, on Reddit or something, just scrolling through stories. So I was like, he's standing behind you. If you don't write your social IA, he will like, I don't know, shout at you or something. And I got it done
Awesome. I'm proud of
after a
you.
I
while,
feel like
but I
he's
got
more
it
likely
done.
to make fun of you for it than to yell at you for it.
You're like, well, what a loser. Wow.
He would
You're so
pointedly
right.
ask you about it in front of everyone else, just to make you be like, um,
And he
uh,
would read out the title of like each subreddit too, and
Oh,
be like,
God.
"This is what you're looking at."
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, it was actually surprisingly motivating. I don't know.
Hmm. Okay. To end off, do we want to transition into how we can better handle stress so that it doesn't become a long term thing that causes anxiety and depression? It's a heavy question. I know.
That is a very heavy
Yeah,
question.
I have no.
Wait, what was
Let
the
me think.
question again?
Okay, so let's repeat. To recap, how do we handle stress better so that it doesn't turn into a long term issue like stress or depression? Stress or anxiety or depression. There you go. Bad stress, not good stress.
Oh,
Oh, we can actually also
okay.
unpack good stress before we go on. What is there good stress? Can stress be a
Yes,
good
there's
thing?
definitely a good stress. The
All
good
right.
stress makes you do stuff.
Good job.
That's like, yeah.
To add to
Fuck
this,
no.
oh wait, to add to this good stress idea, I think in a lot of cases stress, like, it's labeled as a bad thing, but it's also your perception to it. Like, if you think stress is doing something bad, like it's harming you, then of course I think it'll have a negative impact on your health. But you if you view it as more like a challenge you have to overcome, like obviously not a really big, like so hard it's harming your mental health, but like something like academically that you have to overcome, I think it can push you to greater heights. So in that way, I think stress is a good thing. But if it keeps on piling up and you don't do anything to address it, that's when it becomes an issue. So how do we address that? Like, how do we not get to that point? And if you're at that point, what can we do to address it?
I
I
mean,
feel like, oh,
ideally,
sorry.
Okay.
do you want to go?
No, it's okay. You can go first.
Ideally, like you're in your life, you're always gonna have multiple stresses that are always continuous, right? And ideally, with every one of those stresses, you would deal with it. Like you would be forced to deal with it, and it would never build up. But if you ever reach a point where it is built up, I feel like you have to make a system that works for you, where for one, um, you can organize yourself enough that um, you can motivate yourself to do the things that you have to do. And also, it probably helps to have like a support system, and whether that's people that can help you, or like setting up a system for yourself um, that can force you to do things. uh, it always helps to not have to do things by yourself.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think one of the things that we've been kind of getting to throughout this entire podcast is like the best way to deal with stress that's due to your procrastination is to like do whatever that's been pressing on you. So we mentioned a lot of essays that we had to write, for example, and a lot of the stress would be avoided if we just started that earlier. Of course, like the entire matter of actually doing it and actually starting it is like going to be completely different for everyone. For example, I found that pretending my social studies teacher was behind me and watching what I did on my computer worked for me. Um, Shruti and Shreya tried to shame each other into doing work, even though that didn't work out that well.
Okay.
But like the thing is, you have to find a system that works best for you. you have to find like what really motivates you to do work and maybe just keep doing that so you actually do your work. And by doing your work, you can avoid the stress that's like really, really bad. Yeah.
And also to add on, I find that a lot of people, the reason that they procrastinate or they put off work, or at least partly, is that they have something big to do, and then it's just so difficult for them to start that they keep putting off the start date. But one thing that you learn from doing a lot of essays is that you just have to get something on the page in the very beginning. So it doesn't matter how bad it is, as long as you just sort of maybe start writing your thoughts down, it gets easier and easier as it goes. So that's one thing in terms of dealing with assignments, is that you just have to start like 1% of it, and then it's going to get easier every time.
On another note, for stress, there's a lot of times when stress just becomes too much, whether that is academically or whatever is happening in your life. At that point, it does feel really lonely and isolating. Like you feel like you're the only one going through it. You don't really have anyone to talk to. Um, I've been in that place, and I can tell you, if you go and reach out to someone, whoever it is, whether it's your family, your friends, or even like a trusted teacher, for me, it was a teacher, you can talk to them, and honestly, it feels a lot better, even though they might not have been in the same circumstances as you. They can try to relate because everyone goes through struggles in their lives, and they like it's like stress is a common feature of life. So people, you might not be as alone as you think. Like a lot of people are going through it, and if you talk to someone, you might actually end up feeling better because at least that burden is like, it feels like you've released it to the air, like there's someone listening to you. It's not just trapped inside you, so it's much better to talk to someone instead of letting that build.
Yeah, it is like so, so important to reach out to other people because we're like not alone in this, right? We have so many people who are willing to support us that like, yeah, you just have to reach out, right? You have to let them support you because um being alone is like it's hard, right? You want company. Even if you're like even if you think you're alone, you should still reach out because someone's going to be willing to listen to you and someone's going to be willing to support you.
For sure. Certainly, any ending comments?
Um, no, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, on that note, we can end off this podcast and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys. See you soon.